Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Folks, I have a question for you. Does President Biden want to defund the police? He has actually said he doesn't want to do it. In fact, the American Rescue Plan actually included $350 billion for funding for law enforcement. And guess what? It's something that the Republicans didn't want to do. Now, let's take a closer look at this. Fox News' Chris Wallace actually spoke with Congressman Jim Banks, who's a Republican from Indiana, and he said this, I quote, "Congressman Banks, you voted against that package, against the $350 billion package, just like every other Republican in the House and the Senate. So can't you make the argument that it's you and the Republicans who aren't funding the police? In other words, you are the ones who are defunding the police." Folks, the Republicans keep saying that, hey, the Democrats want to defund the police. But the Democrats included $350 billion in the American Rescue Plan, which passed without a single Republican vote. So now let's take a look at this very interesting segment featuring Fox News' Chris Wallace, who again asked Congressman Banks, you and every other Republican voted to deny police $350 billion while every Democrat voted to fund the police. And guess what Banks says? Banks essentially repeats the same talking point. The Democrats have talked about defunding the police. Folks, this is like saying, hey, you talked about doing something, but you went ahead and actually solved the problem. But because you talked about doing something which, doesn't sound good, we are going to latch on to that, whereas we actually stood in the way when the problem was being implemented. This is unbelievable. Let's roll the tape and watch this exchange between Chris Wallace from Fox News and the Republican congressman from Indiana, Jim Banks. Let's watch.
But Congressman Banks, let me push back on that a little bit, because in the program that he announced this week, the president said that the central part of his anti-crime package is the $350 billion in the American Rescue Plan, the COVID relief plan, that was passed. Take a look at what the president said.
It means more police officers, more nurses, more counselors, more social workers, more community violence interrupters to help resolve issues before they escalate into crimes.
Congressman Banks, you voted against that package, against that $350 billion, just like every other Republican in the House and Senate. So can't you make the argument that it's you and the Republicans who are defunding the police?
Not at all, Chris. I mean, let's go back again and look at the last year and the record of comments that Democrats have made, from Rashida Tlaib, who said that policing is inherently evil.
Sir, respectfully, I heard you make that point, but I'm asking you, there's $350 billion in this package the president says can be used for policing. And let me put up some of the specific things he said.
The point that I'm making is important.
Congressman Banks, let me finish, and then I promise I'll give you a chance to answer. The president is saying cities and states can use this money to hire more police officers, invest in new technologies, and develop summer job training and recreation programs for young people. Respectfully, I've heard your point about the last year, but you and every other Republican voted against this $350 billion. Now,
if you thought that was interesting, I think Congressman Banks takes things one step further. After the usual political bashing of Congresswoman Omar and House Speaker Pelosi, he actually says this, I quote, "You can give them," meaning the police, "more funding, and that's good. But if they can't recruit people to become a police officer because we've stigmatized one of the most honorable professions in America, then we are at a dangerous point." So that's like saying, hey, we have a problem. I'm going to stand in the way of the solution, and then I'm going to essentially reframe the problem and say that this problem is an entirely different problem altogether. Folks, either Banks believes his own nonsense or he believes the American people are stupid. I'll let you watch this segment, and I want you to be the judge. Is what he's saying making any sense at all, or do you think he's simply trying to agitate further? Because the truth is, the funding for the police, the $350 billion in funding for law enforcement, was part of the American Rescue Plan, and not a single Republican in the House and the Senate voted for it. Let's roll the tape and hear from Congressman Jim Banks, a Republican from Indiana, basically saying, I quote, "They can't recruit people to become a police officer because we've stigmatized one of the most honorable professions in America. We are at a dangerous point." Let's roll the tape and watch.
Representative Omar says that policing is rooted in evil, and Nancy Pelosi compares police officers to Nazi stormtroopers. It makes it very difficult for police departments around the country to recruit people to become police officers. And that's the crisis that we find in police departments all over America. You can give them more funding, and that's good. But if they can't recruit people to become a police officer because we've stigmatized one of the most honorable professions in America, then we're at a dangerous point. And that is directly related to the rise in violent crime across America. If we turn a blind eye to law and order and a blind eye to riots that occurred in cities last summer, and we take police officers off the street, we're inevitably going to see crime rise.
Now, if you thought that was interesting, take a look at this unusual exchange between CNN's Jim Acosta and Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was specifically asked for proof that the FBI was involved in January 6th. She has no proof, but she thinks it would be great if Speaker Pelosi puts her on the committee investigating the Capitol attack. So she has no idea about what's going on. She's blaming the FBI and she's trying to say, hey, the FBI needs to prove they were not involved, but she has no proof that they were involved. And then she wants to be on the committee when she never showed up at several committees and she was actually banned from committees. So, yep, this is the troublemaker Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's roll the tape and watch.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, for weeks she has spread the baseless conspiracy theory that the FBI was somehow involved in the Capitol insurrection. I pressed her for evidence repeatedly, and unsurprisingly, she just didn't have any. When you look at the video, don't you mainly see Trump supporters involved in the rioting?
There's all kinds of people involved in the rioting. There's people in black clothes, there's people in red hats, there's people in Trump
There are
clothes.
Oath Keepers, there are people from the Proud Boys.
That's what we've read and seen, yes. And then
That they've been arrested. They've been arrested. They've been brought to court.
They're being held, some of them in solitary confinement, almost 24 hours a day in the jails here.
Right, but I'm wondering, so if they're being held in jail, if they're in solitary confinement, like you said, where does this stuff come from about the FBI and Antifa? Where are you getting that from, if I may be?
Well, this is the reports that have been
that.
coming out. There's, information that there may have been FBI operatives. Now, we don't know what that means, right? Is that informants? Is that where does that go?
Where's the proof that the FBI was involved? Where's the proof that Antifa was involved? Don't you owe it to people to produce that proof, that evidence?
I don't owe it. I didn't cause the riot, so I certainly don't owe it.
If the FBI tells you, Congresswoman, we didn't have any involvement in that, would you believe them?
Well, I'm sure, yes, of course. If they say they weren't and showed proof they weren't, then of course I would.
So you see, she didn't have any evidence that the FBI was somehow involved, but she said the FBI had to prove that they weren't involved. Just wanted to make sure you were following that. I also asked the Congresswoman about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's announcement that she will move forward on a select committee to investigate the insurrection. Let's watch. Would you like to serve on the committee? Would you like to be on the committee?
Sure, she should put me on the committee. That would be great,
And you would show up and ask questions? And
Absolutely. Of course I would. I've worked hard all my life, and I would work hard there as well.
And speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's take a look at one of her segments at one of the recent rallies. She said, I quote, "Let me give you just a few reasons why the DC swamp hates me so much, because I want to impeach Joe Biden, I want to expel Maxine Waters, and I want to fire Dr. Anthony Fauci." I don't think she has much going on because she clearly doesn't understand what the needs of the country are. So she does know one thing. It is to raise trouble and try and get in front of the cameras and try and get as much airtime as possible. Let's roll the tape and hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's watch.
Because in the halls of Congress every single day, I'm fighting for you, America. Now let me give you just a few reasons why the DC swamp hates me so much. Because I want to impeach Joe Biden. Yep. Throw him out. And I want to expel Maxine Waters. And I want to fire Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Now, back to Jim Acosta from CNN. He's been extremely busy. He's actually been trying to speak with Republican lawmakers about all their conspiracy theories and all the bogus nonsense they're putting out about January 6th. He asked Congressman Mo Brooks about January 6th, who didn't comment and just rode off on his bicycle. Let's watch. Let's roll the tape.
So you take the bike to work, huh?
Sometimes.
The man with the bicycle is Alabama Republican Congressman Mo Brooks.
Congressman, is there any way we could get you to talk about January 6th?
I do not do interviews with CNN because I do not trust CNN to be honorable or truthful.
Yes, the same man who said this on January 6th.
Today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass.
Since then, he's peddled the bogus conspiracy theory that Antifa was behind the insurrection at the Capitol.
Well, can I ask you, do you still believe Antifa was behind January 6th?
I've already said what I'm going to say. I don't trust y'all to be truthful or honest.
Well, can you tell us if you regret what you said on January 6th?
I do not trust CNN to be truthful or honest, so I do no interviews
Well, I'm just asking you
CNN.
questions. I'm asking you fair questions here, sir. Why can't you answer the question?
I do not trust y'all to be truthful or honest with anything CNN does.
It's on video. If you can just talk to us for a moment.
Then he rode off.
Lie through your teeth any chance you get.
Well, give you the chance to come on if you don't mind.
And in the meantime, folks, it's very clear. And folks, the Republicans want to create as much trouble as possible because politics is about timing. It's about opportunity. It's about tribalism, us against them. And it is about perception. What people believe is what politicians care about. And what politicians do is try and agitate, because that leads to more votes and that leads to more fundraising. In fact, they're making the border a big issue. They're making critical race theory a new issue. They're making the election itself a big issue. Let's roll the tape and check out this segment from the recount, Border Buzzword Bingo from the Republican Party. Let's roll the tape and watch what they're keeping themselves busy with. This is our taxpayer dollars at work right now. Let's watch.
Crime, methamphetamine, border crisis, humanitarian crisis, cartel, illegal immigrants, hundreds of people,
tens of thousands,
hundreds of thousands that are coming.
Tidal wave of illegal immigration.
And finally, here's an article on your screen from CNN. Madison Cawthorn, the self-described big history buff, keeps getting historical facts wrong. I'll just give you one example, because if you want to read the rest of the nonsense that this guy puts out, you can definitely check out this article. We'll provide you with a link to the article in the description section below. But speaking on the House floor to criticize the Biden administration's handling of the economy, Cawthorn said, I quote, "It was Thomas Jefferson that said, facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence." The problem is, this is a quote from John Adams, not Jefferson. And Cawthorn also omitted two of Adams' words in the quote. Very interesting, folks. The Republicans definitely want to make it seem like they know what's going on and want to create as much trouble as possible, especially troublemakers like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Mo Brooks, and of course, the young gun, Madison Cawthorn. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I want you to know that I appreciate you. We work hard on this channel every single day to bring you the latest news. All I ask in return is you please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. Also, please follow us on Twitter. This right here is our Twitter feed. Our Twitter handle is ignition_time. So definitely check us out on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.